We have about 90,000 private ponds and lakes here in the state of Illinois, and a lot of pond owners contact us prior to building the pond, and that's really important because so many people put ponds where they shouldn't be and stock them wrong, and then they just waste an awful lot of money. So it's important you contact us, and we're going to put you in touch with other people too in this pond construction. Probably the most important thing is that they site it in the right place. Ideally, you would like a site where you put a dam across a gully or a ravine or a grass waterway and back up no more than between 10 and 20 acres of ground draining through per 1 acre of pond. It's called a watershed ratio. If you get more than that, you possibly have trouble with sedimentation. You'll have trouble with nutrients filling in, such as phosphorus and nitrogen, so you have that problem. Another thing to look for that's really critical is maximum depth. It needs to be between 15 and 20 foot. And if I was building a pond, I would want it over 1 acre. You have a lot of trouble if you try to build a small pond. On the other end of things, if you build too large, that's over 5 acres or something, they become very expensive to maintain. Likely you will have an engineer involved in the project to design the dam. Now you can do it yourself. A lot of people just hire an excavator and he comes out and pushes up a dam. That's fine, but generally speaking you're going to need to have an engineer. If the dam is over 25 feet high, or if you back up more than 50 acre feet of water, and an acre foot of water is 1 acre, 1 foot deep. So if you back up more than and create a lake or pond that's over 50 acre feet, you have to have permits as well too. And of course the engineered design. So that's really important to remember. Most ponds are going to have an overflow pipe in them, and then they'll have what's called an emergency overflow off to the side of the dam as well in case you get a huge rain. But that pipe that goes through the dam will be a certain size based on the size of the watershed that you have. The engineer will figure that out for you. If they tell you that you're going to need a 5-foot tube going through the dam or 3 or something like that, that's huge. That tells me as a biologist you've got a huge watershed up there, and your watershed ratio may be more than that 20-to-1 that we mentioned before. A big overflow tube will indicate that it may not be a good place to put a pond. You can, as I said, fill in with nutrients, sediment, and also with a big tube fish escapement as possible. In the dam itself, you will hear the term that from the excavator of a key or a core trench, and that's really critical. A core trench is a trench built at the base of the dam that's about as wide as a bulldozer blade, that's filled with clay and packed in there, because most of the pressure from the pond will be right at the base of the dam, and you can get seepage or leakage down at the bottom of the dam. So it's important to build a core trench. Another thing too on the dam itself, you want to keep the woody vegetation off because the roots get in there and muskrats get in around the roots, and before long you can put leaks through your dam just by allowing trees to grow up on it. Mow it a few times a year. When building a pond, that's a perfect time before it's got water in it to put structure in for fish or cover. A lot of people, when they build a pond, have to bulldoze a tree down, and that can be used as structure for fish. Also, there's a lot of different man-made products, PVC type products. They have porcupine balls and what's called Georgia cube. There's very different kind of structure. You can put rocks in, rock outcroppings. Fish like to hang out around that. Generally speaking, on riprap, you don't need that. That's to stop shoreline erosion. In some cases you might, but it's very, very expensive. And if it were my pond, I would use natural vegetation. I would plant cattails, water willow, or iris. Some of those that plant around not only will protect from shore erosion, but they look nice. As I mentioned earlier, ponds fill in with silt, and also along with the silt wash in nutrients, phosphorus and nitrogen, and they can add to and speeden the aging of your pond. So in many cases, if it's a bigger pond in particular, you put a small pond above the big pond that will have a standpipe in it, and it will act as a sediment trap. And then as it fills in with silt, you can go in and dig that out. Generally speaking, in Illinois, most of our ponds that are constructed will have corn or bean field, row crop plants around them. And again, that's where when you get heavy rains, that's the nutrients wash in from and the sediment washes in from too. So again, this brings up the importance of why I have a sediment retention basin. So a pond, if you construct it correctly right from the get-go, you're going to get a lot more life out of the pond. You're going to enjoy your pond a whole lot more, and it's going to cost you a lot less money. So it's really important to follow these steps that we just mentioned. One thing I would leave you with regarding stocking is do not go to your neighbor's, brother's, best friend's pond, catch fish, and put them over and stock them in your pond. You will be out of balance right from the get-go, and you just spent $40,000 on a pond.